Hello everyone, I'm here to talk about my writing and mindfulness challenge, which will only take you 5 minutes a day, but I believe it will make you a better writer. And I thought I'd make a short video just to tell you why. I really believe that the more we're able to observe the world with writer's eyes, the more effective we'll be as writers, whatever it is we're writing, whether that's poetry, fiction, plays, screenplays, non-fiction, blog posts. The more we're able to observe the world around us, and I mean immediately around us in our locality, even where you're actually sitting, but also outside your window and just outside where you live, the more you're able to observe that with writer's eyes, the more effective you'll be as a writer. Why? Because I think a big part of writing is actually noticing things, and noticing things with all of the senses that you have available to you, and not only relying on your dominant sense. For most people that would be the visual, what you can see, but also when it comes to what you can see, are you really noticing the details? Are you going in close? Are you noticing the colours? Are you noticing the textures that you can see? Are you really zooming in and noticing all there is to see? Even if that is the dominant sense, there's still more detail to be observed. And when it comes to some of the other senses, what you can hear, for instance, could you sit down and write a detailed description of what you can hear, or does that pass you by? When it comes to taste, can you think of words to describe particular tastes, particularly as you experience them through the day? The same with smell, the same with touch and texture. And also it's the same with that sixth sense of atmosphere, if you like. What's the atmosphere like in the room where you are now? What's the atmosphere like outside your house? Atmosphere doesn't have to be good or bad, negative or positive. It doesn't have to be defined in a binary like that. But I'm talking about a kind of emotional response to the place you're in. Now, an obvious one would be being in a haunted house, and that would be a spooky atmosphere. So if you want a real definition for what I mean by this sense, this sixth sense, then go there. But actually it can be more subtle than that. Do you feel comfortable in the environment that you're in, or stimulated, excited, or happy, or depressed, or safe? Is there a word you could come up with to describe the atmosphere you're in? So not just the five senses that we normally talk about, but a sixth sense as well. And we're observing the world with all six of those senses. And then that feeds into our writing practice. The more we notice, the more we use our senses, the more we'll be able to make the world come alive for our readers. The other thing that observing the world around you really does is it can stimulate ideas. For instance, if I see a rubber duck that's been left on the side of the bath, actually more likely to be a plastic duck nowadays, so a plastic duck left on the side of a bath. Because I grew up in a hotel, I guess hotels are in my head, so I look at that duck and think, hotel. There was this hotel in London that claimed to be able to provide its guests with anything they wanted any time of the day or night. So a journalist went to stay there and asked for a duck to play within the bath at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, I can't remember if they managed to find her one or not, or actually whether it was a male or female journalist or anything about it. But I could research that story that I've remembered because I saw that duck, and I could find a way of turning that into a blog post or a feature article. It's just the beginning of an idea, but if I did a bit of research, I could build up a story around that and start taking it in any direction I wanted to. So ideas don't have to be things that are already in our heads. They could come from observation that we've done. That could be something that we've smelt, something that we've touched, something that we've heard. It could be any of the senses. It doesn't have to be the visual sense. But if you pause during your day often enough to notice the world around you, then not only will that improve your practice as a writer, because there'll be more detail in your writing and therefore you'll be able to bring the world to life for your reader, also that will help generate ideas if you allow your brain to make those connections. You do have to pause, and I'm suggesting in the writing and mindfulness challenge that you pause and have a cup of tea and simply notice things around you. If you build in that pause, then your brain will start making those unusual connections, especially if you don't censor yourself and go, plastic duck, that's a silly idea. If I'd done that, then I'd never have got to that idea about writing about the hotel that promised you everything, anything and everything in the middle of the night, if you see what I mean. So two main reasons to use this technique, and I'm talking about combining writing with mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness on its own is a good idea, but I'm talking about a combination of the two. So what it means to be mindful as a writer. So it provides you with detail, it provides you with source material to draw upon when you're writing, but it can also help generate ideas. So the Writing and Mindfulness Challenge involves no commitment at all. All you have to do is go over to my blog, have a look at the blog posts. There are 3 up there so far, but we've been doing the challenge for 2 days. It's only a 5-minute activity per day, although I do suggest a way to make it longer if you want to. So you can easily catch up. Head on over to my blog, read the blog post about it, and there are very simple exercises to do based on mindfulness and writing to try and help you to get as much as possible out of this technique. So do let me know how you get on, and happy writing, everyone.